Hey, what's up everybody at Liberty Coach? Here we are in Victory Lane at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So great race today in honor of Frank Sr. Appreciate you guys and everything that you do for us, man. It's awesome to celebrate. Wish you were here, and we want to have many more this year. So let's go get them.
We never know what to expect when we come visit Liberty Coach here in Stuart, Florida, and it's always an honor to be here with Frank Koenigsetter. And
Absolutely.
The team at Liberty never ceases to amaze me. I thought Dean had pulled out every shade of blue we've ever seen, and I don't think we've ever seen these tones of blue.
No, I don't think so either. We had one coach where it was kind of a Tiffany blue. You might remember that one. So we haven't seen anything in the lighter colors like this in a long time, or ever. So this is pretty interesting. It's really cool looking.
Yeah, it really has a stunning look. And then the interior, Liberty did some real cool custom stuff for the owner that we've never seen before as well.
Right. So this client, they've had multiple Liberty coaches. This is the first one that they have actually done as custom. So they provided a couple of things. There's some artwork that's on the wall. The live wood tabletop, they provided that as well. So there's some other stuff that they did that they brought into it. It was really cool how it was all done. Some special stitching that's done on the driver and passenger seat.
Yeah, it really came together well, and looking forward to showing the folks around this, Coach. But I know you're always planning the next parties. I know you just got back from Nashville here. Yeah. Thanks for coming in early this morning. Yep. What's coming up on the Liberty Coach party schedule?
Well, we've got tomorrow heading out to Texas for the PMC rally. So my wife and I just got back last night from Nashville because we're doing pre-planning for our CMA Awards rally that we're doing in November, which at this point we pretty well have sold out. We might have some room here. We'll see in the next couple of weeks. We've got some really cool events that we're planning there for that. That's going to be really over the top because, as you know, we set the bar for our events in the industry, so we've got to try and figure out how to keep moving that bar up a little bit further and further. Once we get out of that, then we go to the Road Hogs event, which is in Morgantown, West Virginia. That's the middle of June. We go at the end of July to the Liberty Coach Week that we do at Hearthside Grove, and we do the big garden party the last Friday of July, and then we transition right to Sturgis, so we'll be out in the Spearfish from the 3rd of August until the 13th of August. And then we got a week off, and then we are out in Creede, Colorado for the Bus and Biker Rally, which is a week long then toward the end of August. So we got a pretty packed summer going on here for sure.
Yeah, no short of events for the Liberty Coach owners out there, and we appreciate you flying in. I know you were delayed at the airport, so every time I get stuck in those airport delays, it reminds me how great these motor coaches are.
Without a doubt.
Such a better way to travel. But what all else is going on with this coach?
The paint job is, number one, is spectacular. It's an artist series that Dean did. I think they have a matching stacker trailer that they had painted to match as well. Of course, the custom painted wheels by Dean from American Racing Wheels. There's a few things down in the bays that were changed up a little bit as well. So there's a lot of cool things to see.
Awesome. Can we take a closer look?
Absolutely. Our standard first bay, this has been pretty well done since 908. Half rollout on each side, I should say. We manufacture the rollout trays. That gives us more bay height because we manufacture them to be very low profile. Tool or parts drawer here, and then we've got storage drawers on top, and these are all soft close as well, and they're metal formed drawer boxes, so they're all weather, and then the blackout material here as well. Then we come to the second bay on the passenger side. This bay here is going to have more storage drawers on top. We got another full rollout here, so you got two pass-through bays. What's important about that is that it gives you more storage in the coach building it this way. It also allows less weight being put on the front axle because we always try and get all the heavy equipment toward the back of the coach. You've got more tires back there, more weight carrying capacity back there, so the coach is going to be better balanced. It's going to drive better going down the road. It's not going to feel clumsy. All Prevos are not the same. You know, we've taken a couple coaches out for a ride. Our coaches are more stable on the Prevost chassis than any other manufacturer that's out there. All you have to do is drive one and you can tell before you can get out of the lot.
I've even noticed that driving Liberty coaches that are 20, 30 plus years old.
Certainly.
I mean, it's incredible. We've got some videos of me driving like Liberties from the 90s and 80s where we could not get a squeak or rattle out of these 30 plus year old coaches.
Right.
It's just incredible.
And you know, I've been hit by a couple of people on some comments about weight carrying capacity and weights and what have you. And I say, you know, we weigh almost every coach we build, and some people say, well, they weigh every coach. Well, that's great. Let them weigh every coach. We know what the coach is going to weigh from one to the other if the layout's the same and what have you. So it doesn't, why waste the time doing all that? But we do know that balance side to side. I've had the state troopers here with their mobile scales. We've come in here, we've weighed coaches. I've had competitor units here that I've weighed as well. And there's a significant difference side to side on these other units that are out there comparatively to a Liberty coach. And it's proof positive. You just go out ahead and do it. Just put mobile scales underneath it and you can see it. It has a big difference when you're going down the road at 70, 80 miles an hour and you start hitting these high-speed turns, you know, the way that the coach follows through, or it may want to understeer on you, and then you can have some, you know, uncomfortableness with it.
Yeah, that may be a future video. We may have to weigh a Liberty coach next to one of your competitors.
Absolutely, no question, we can do it. This then is the 65-inch rollout TV mechanism. We build this whole setup in-house at our manufacturing facility in North Chicago, Illinois. So this has then stops that you can set to it as well. So if you're outside tailgating or watching and it's, you know, windy, you don't want to have that blowing around. We have a nice sound bar at the bottom of it as well.
Does that have a different look than some of the sound bars we've seen in the past?
No, that's the KEF sound bar. That's the only sound bar that we have on the coach. All the other speakers in the coach are engineered specifically for the room that they're in. So that makes a significant difference in how the sound quality of what we drive at it. So your Apple TVs, any other source that comes at it, it's all done through HDMI fiber optic cabling that's custom made for us. There's not another company out there that has the picture quality at the end of the day going to the TVs. You know, we just don't buy a TV that's $400 or $500 either, because, as you know, flat screen TVs have come down significantly in price. There are other ones that are out there that are much more expensive. Those are the units that we will use, so that you have the best quality picture that you can get, you know, for streaming purposes, because pretty much everybody streams now today. So we want to make sure we have the best quality that we can coming out of those devices. Beverage center here, you've seen us do quite a few of these now. That's getting to be pretty popular as opposed to the regular refrigerator. This then has roll-out grill unit here, so we can set the cooking center out here without having to take it off and set it on a table. You can plug the unit in right behind it as well. And then storage drawer below here. And more storage up on top. And then we have a Crestron panel here that has the ability to control every function as far as the coach goes out here. And then there's a separate remote control for operating a lot of the audio video out here, and some of the mechanicals like running the awnings in and out, what have you, can be done by remote also.
And talking about the awnings, every Liberty has the big Batwing awnings.
Correct.
Can we put those out real quick?
Sure.
And then how many different locations can someone run the awnings from? You've got several of these Crestron panels throughout the coach.
Everyone.
And then they've got very bright LED lighting in the Zipty awnings. Is that from Zipty, or does Liberty do that?
That channel they provide in there, and then we provide the lighting.
Yeah, very bright lighting. And then with the triple slide, we've got a lot of under awning space here. And you said that these owners had 2 quad slides in the past?
Yeah, they had 2 quad slides before, and the coach that they custom built, they did on a triple slide as well.
Seems like the triples are probably your most popular configuration.
They are. It depends on your mission. It depends on how you're going to use the coach. So there's some people that need a quad because of room characteristics, because of things that they do when they're parked. The quad has its challenges when you're going down the road. For an example, my wife Denise, when we travel, because she does all of our event planning, so we're always at the events together, when we travel in a coach, she's normally not always sitting in the passenger seat. So she's going to be transitioning through the coach or sitting on the couch. And when you have a quad slide, you have to then look at the fact that you're having to look through that passenger side front slide window to see through the windshield. So it's a little bit, you know, not as desirable when you're driving down the road that way. Now on a triple or a double, you've got clear view all the way forward. So that's something to think about. You know, if you're going to be parked for 6 months of the year and not travel as much, okay, then maybe the quad works out for you. But when you're traveling and driving significantly, which is what they're made for, I think that people find that the triple gives a lot of storage in the coach and then also gives you a lot of visibility going down the road from the inside.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the triples and doubles myself, and pretty much all of the other Class A market out there is all going to be that quad slide. So it's going to be much less livable going down the road than a Prevost.
Well, and you have to look at the fact that on the production side for Class A business, they're going to build whatever they feel is the most popular and just build them all that way. They're mass produced, right? So that's what they're going to do. It is a lot more difficult to have to look at building doubles or building triples and building quads. You know, it's just because of how it sets their shops up and what have you. It's challenging. So for us, because of our custom nature, we can do things a little bit differently as far as that goes.
The other huge advantage is you were talking about your wife being in the back of the coach while you're going down the road. The smoothness, I always like to compare a Prevost to like being in a sanctuary while you're going down the road. Yeah. I'm sure your wife can still get work done when you have a lot of little squeaks and rattles and noises and you feel that jolting from the chassis, it's much harder to relax. But I've noticed riding in the back of a Prevost, it's a much smoother, ride.
No question about it, no question. So you have fourth bay passenger side. They opted to do a toolbox down here as well. This system rolls out here. A little bit different how the configuration was done with the tip outs as opposed to the drawers. Gives a little bit more storage doing it that way as well.
This is a really nice kind of outdoor kitchen area, but we've seen some of the other coaches have these really massive kind of outdoor kitchens on a slider. Would you be able to maybe take bay 1 or bay 2 or one of these bays and create a huge outdoor kitchen?
You could do it in bay 1 if you wanted to. We have looked at doing that years ago. We had built a slide out kitchen unit. Actually, it was in the second bay because of how our electrical systems were done then. We had done it in the second bay. It really depends on what, again, difference between triples, quads, and doubles. What's your mission? How are you going to use the coach? Is that big rollout, slide out kitchen system something you're going to use all the time? Or is it something that you're just going to use maybe occasionally and the storage could have been utilized better? You know, when you consider the fact that a lot of the customer base, and we'll build whatever anybody wants. It's just that once you decide to do that because it's the next gee whiz thing that so-and-so's got one, so I have to have one type of mentality, it might be something that 2-3 months down the road or a year, it's like, why did I do this? I'm not using it. Especially when you look at the RV resorts that are out there today, even if you go to rent a place, more than likely it's got an outside kitchen. It's got a casita. Or these customers have spent significant dollars on a lot and their build outs that have beautiful outside kitchens and all that goes along with it. So maybe that's something to consider when you're looking at buying a coach like that too, or what you're doing. Now, if you're somebody that goes out and tailgates a lot and wants to have that, sure, we'll build it. It's not a problem. But it's just think about how the coach is used. It's kind of like how we look at what product do we put into the coach or what design elements do we do. Are they something that's going to last, the next 5 or 10 years? Is that next customer going to want that in the coach? We sell more Prevost motorhome product through this dealership than any other company, bar none, okay? So we're selling and moving an average of 100 units through here every year. A lot of these coaches we've seen 4, 5, 6, 7 times and have had different owners in those units. Every one of them has a little bit different take of how they're going to use a coach. So when you have something like that, you need to kind of look at, hey, how's that going to go the next go round? Because not everybody keeps a coach for a lifetime. Very little.
I know keeping resale value up is huge to you, so you're only going to build something if you know it's going to stand the test of time and hold up on the resale market.
Product-wise, yes. If somebody wants to come to us and say, listen, let's try this, let's put this in there, let's do some design work on that. Hey, great, no problem. We'll be more than happy to design it out, see how it's going to work out, and build it, no problem. And again, We're not going to take anybody else's ideas. We're going to do it ourselves.
One other quick question about that is, say someone did want to have a massive front outdoor kitchen put in one of these front bays. You're talking about weight.
Yeah.
Is that something where you would, have to maybe strip out weight from somewhere else, or really take into consideration if you're adding, 500, 600, 700, 1,000 pounds to these front bays? How would your engineering team, or how would you and your family approach that?
Well, I think in the last video that we did, I showed you taking off the door, how light that is. That would have to be built out of lightweight material as well, but you have a trade-off. So more than likely, you're going to travel with 200, 300, 400 pounds of stuff in this bay anyway. So if we turn around and build a cooking center that weighs that much, you're not putting anything more in there because there's nothing else. You can't put nothing more in there, right? So you've already traded off right there. So, that's not that big of a deal because you're going to have that in there anyway.
Yes, sir. And one real quick question about, resale. Say someone comes in here and they have a huge checkbook and they want to build a bright pink with yellow stripes Liberty coach with a bright green interior, and that 5-10 years down the line, if there's a 2026 Liberty that is hard for resale, would you protect your brand and turn away that coach to protect resale value on your brand?
If somebody came in and said, listen, this is exactly what I want, and this is, I want this scheme and I want this as far as that goes, they're going to know up front that, okay, be more than happy to do it. Are you going to be okay with paying to have it repainted for the next client? Because we could be looking at $150,000+ to repaint a coach because it just is not going to sell. That's a possibility. Now, could there be somebody out there that goes, oh my God? Sure, there could be, but how long do you want to wait? Okay, you could wait 2 years. Same thing with the inside. So the main structure elements, like for an example, the cabinetry material, things that are very, very difficult to change once they're made, those you try and keep into some kind of scheme that's going to be resaleable easy. The other stuff, the soft goods, you can do a lot with that, and those are not so difficult to do later on or down the road. But when you look at the outside of the coach, yeah, that becomes challenging without a doubt. I mean, there's coaches, we've got a 13 out here that was originally built and the striping on it was changed for the client that built it. That's okay, that can be done, that's easy breezy. But when you look at especially the artist series like this, that's a big deal.
Yes,
it's
sir.
A big challenge.
Yeah, just inside of these stripes, like there's little patterns right here. Like if we can get a close up, like this stripe right here has some incredible detail going on. There's so much in a Dean Loucks artist series that we just don't see in other paint jobs out there.
There's no question about it.
Yes, sir.
No question. So, fifth bay passenger side is going to be our wet bay. We've got controls here to be able to dump the coach, to be able to dump the fresh water tank. We can dump the Liberty coach as far as the holding tank on the passenger side or the driver's side. I think we've been doing that for 40 years. And it's never, it's always been a part of what we do. Tank monitoring here as well. So we monitor the tanks here on the driver's side. Each Crestron panel and iPad has tank monitoring displays as well. In here, we've got the Culligan reverse osmosis system that goes to the coffee maker in the coach, the ice maker, and the water dispenser in the refrigerator. Stainless steel fresh water tank, aluminum holding tank. We have the tankless water heater for the shower. So if the water heater happens to go down, the main water heater, then at least you could turn on the tankless and have hot water to the shower valve all the time. So that's a backup. The water heater itself is going to be 40 gallons. It's a stainless steel unit with a glass vessel inside. It is heated from the main engine going down the road. It's also electric, so it's heated by shore power or generator power as well. And then we've got the water pump here, other filtration cleaning filters for the water also. So we've got a lot going on here. We have balancing valves that are in here as well to make sure that when you're driving down the road, the engine is going to be hotter temperature than what the water heater normally is. So when you turn on the cold side, if you don't have balancing in there, you could get hot through the cold side. This also gets you hot water right away because we also have the return pump on here that nobody else uses and nobody else has used. And we've been doing that since Coach 823, which is 2018. So there's a return circulation pump on board the coach so that every time you turn on a hot water valve, you've got hot water instantly. You're not having to wait and wasting water for this to happen.
And at 180 gallon freshwater holding tank, it's about the biggest in the industry. How long have you been using that large of a holding tank?
Since we built the H's. So, when you go back to, 1991, there was some tanks that we did that were that size or a little bit smaller, but on the H's, that was the big capacity. The XLs that we built, they didn't have as large a capacity because their bays were not the same. So the H's have always had more capacity to them.
And I can imagine that stainless tank that you use for your freshwater and then aluminum for your waste tanks has to have a significant higher cost than the normal plastic tanks that we see in other coaches. What's your reasoning for going with stainless and aluminum rather than plastic?
That technology definitely has changed over the years. The major reason that we did it 30 some years ago, whatever it was, or more, we got away from that because you could over tighten a fitting into the tank and you might not know it, but it's cracked. And you would not realize that it's cracked for a couple of years down the road. Then all of a sudden you have a leak. And then we're replacing a tank, okay? Because we have our lifetime workmanship warranty, right?
And water damage too.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So, that was a key element to get rid of that problem. So that's why we went and built our own stainless steel tanks and we went to the aluminum holding tank. Now, when you talk about that with the floor, we also many years ago changed the floor so it didn't have that problem that you would have, the rotting and what have you that goes on. We can see that on older coaches that do or have had a tank issue or a hot water heater that's let loose. You can see that the floors have to be replaced. But the flooring that's on the coaches, and I forget how many years now, it's been done, the topping part of it doesn't allow water to impregnate through there.
I'm sure there's a lot of milestone points of changes you've made over the last 50 plus years. And how long has Liberty Coach been in business?
Over 55 years. The first coach we built was a backyard in 1968, so you can look at it from that point. But we incorporated in 1972.
I think we've got pictures of you and your brother as young children out working on these buses.
Oh, yeah,
so,
for sure. Blind spot detection system, the radar that's here. There's 3 of those units that are on each side of the coach. So we brought that in on coach 865, which is a 2021 model. And that allows you to be able to get warnings which are indicated on the dash windshield pillars, the center pillar and the driver's side pillar, so that you can indicate a vehicle or something about a lane to a lane and a half away from you on either side, and also about 20 feet behind you, which also then covers the tow vehicle or trailer as well. When we look at the retail pricing of our coaches being just a little over $3 million, there's coaches that are coming right up behind us that don't have that, okay? And they should have that. That's part of what you should have. So, a lot of people really need to dig down in the nuts and bolts of what they're getting for these high dollars that they're paying to make sure that you have all the equipment that, for an example, that a Liberty Coach has.
Well, then the e-mirrors are a huge advantage as well. Seeing 45 feet out of your rear view mirrors can be a little challenging at times, so that blind spot can really come in handy. But the e-mirrors have been another big safety advantage as well?
No question about it. I mean, that's $12,500 under the shell, plus what it costs to finish them on the inside of the coach, which is not really something that can be added after the fact. That's really challenging. So the e-mirrors are a big factor, and again, when you look at Prevost to Prevost to Prevost, does the Prevost you're looking at, 9660, have e-mirrors on it? More than likely it doesn't. So it's something to look at right away.
Yeah, we've definitely learned there's all different levels of Prevost. Not all of them are equal for sure.
Exactly.
As we're talking here, I just noticed that's almost like a Tiffany blue awning fabric there. Is that the first time you guys have done that color?
Yes, it is.
How custom can folks get to match their awning fabric with the paints?
It's something that we've spoken about before. When people come up and sit down with Kim and go through the whole entire process, they're blown away by how intricate and how detailed everything is. Stitching on the seats, awning fabrics, all of that stuff is done. It's just not here, we do this color and that color and that's all we do. Everything is chosen. Every piece and part of it is chosen. And we expedite that because, we can help along the way. I sometimes are there, most try and be there for the new builds as well to help because, okay, what's that going to look like resale wise or how it's going to be. My brother sits down all the time, Kurt, because he runs the manufacturing facility. Kim, of course, does the interiors. So all of that is picked out.
It's all in sync, and even going back, I don't know who was doing the designs before Kim, but you know, in the 90s and 2000s.
My mom.
It feels like the Liberty Coach, the interior, the exterior, the awnings, I mean, every little square inch, it really flows together.
Yeah. Absolutely. So pressure washer, we don't see that often, but pressure washer is done here. And on the first bay on the driver's side then is going to be the DI system for filtering. That is also put up there because then we can heat that area as well to keep that warm, so we don't have to winterize that. Winterization of this is fairly simple if you need to, but you know, when you think about it, most of the coaches, the only time that they're in really cold weather is if they're transitioning to get out of somewhere.
Yes, sir.
Somewhere. So the Volvo D13, 500 horse, 1,850 foot-pounds of torque. It's been a great engine for us. We've had absolutely so little as far as engine trouble since this transition was made in 2012. So we've been quite a few years here utilizing this. It does have DEF. We have to use DEF with it. DEF is put in on the driver's side next to the diesel fuel fill on the driver's side of the coach, and the DEF tank is in the fourth bay passenger side, kind of set in. You can run basically from New York to LA without having to refill DEF. However, because it's so convenient with the DEF sitting right next to the fuel, you know, just top it off every time you go. Belt guard here, we make and install that. Sometimes you see it on there, sometimes not. It just depends on the client, but it does keep it cleaner here looking without seeing all the belts. We do have two 10 kW alternators that are back here that are charging the Volta system, the 58 volt lithium ion system that we have on board, exclusive to Liberty Coach. We do have that set up so that you can charge those big batteries back going down the road. Now, what that allows you to do is the generator on board the coach is a 12.5 kW own and unit. You can look at coaches that we have come in here that are 5, 6, 7 years old, very little hours on the generators because they're not running them. You don't have to run the generator going down the road to have air conditioning, to have a lot of the other equipment that you have. So you can run 3 roof air units going down the road without having to deal with the generator, because the alternators are strong enough here that they will bring the batteries back up or keep them maintained. Then there's the alternators, of course, for the main engine as well. And then you've got the compressor for the driver-passenger cockpit area that is run off this air engine setup as well. Driver's side, slide room height, you know, we talk about that occasionally. This coach is actually sitting completely down on the ground on leveling. So we've got it sitting down on the suspension blocks, and I can walk underneath this bedroom slide. Also, the slide rooms are all nice and smooth around, and also you can see how the paintwork's done on these slide ends also. It's not just a black or a white or what have you. Dean does all the way wrap around. Also inside the windows, if you were to look at the windows when they're open, you can see how the striping goes through the windows. And it's just not on this coach. I mean, here's a 21 that's got that as well.
Is this coach available?
This coach is sold.
Oh, it is. Okay. They don't last long because this was available like a few weeks ago, but it sold right away immediately.
Yep.
Any other late models coming in?
We got a 21 double slide that's right outside my office. We have the 22 quad that's here as well. That's sitting here inside the showroom also. Fifth bay, driver's side, wet bay again. Polished stainless steel here on this side of the freshwater tank. Stainless steel panel that's on the aluminum holding tank. The copper plumbing that's here for the gray water bypass. We have a gray water bypass on board here, and we have for a great many years, and that allows you to bypass the gray water so it doesn't enter the holding tank and go out up through a storm sewer drain or out in the grass, and that's just the soapy water. If it's legal to do that where you're at, saves your holding tank capacity for just the toilets. We run one holding tank, black and gray together. What that does is it keeps the tank cleaner, keeps the smell down if you were to have that happen, although on our coaches with the venting systems that we don't have a smell problem from the holding tank. I recommend that you run the holding tank to about maybe 3/4 or 80% and then dump it. What that does is that keeps the tank cleaner, keeps things flushed out as well. We have the hose reel, 100 foot, that's electrically retracted and manually pulled out. That is your city water inlet, which also is how you fill your fresh water tank, or you can fill the fresh water tank on the passenger side as well. So we have the ability to not only dump the tank on either side, we can have city water on either side, and we also can power the coach up on both sides. In the right rear corner of the coach, there is a shore power inlet for the starboard side, and then we have the 75-foot electric cord reel here that comes out underneath the coach.
It's very rare that anyone has an issue. I don't know, I think the only time I've ever heard about a Liberty owner having an issue was user error when they drove off while the coach was still plugged in. I mean, is that kind of the only time you have issues, really? Or?
And then the shore power box is following them down the road.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, yeah, pretty much. You do have occasion where a motor might go bad, or the sleeve, the shims that are in the drive pulley on there might need to be adjusted, but it's very rare. And then we have a hose washout. This is a hand sprayer that pulls out to be able to wash out the holding tank sewer hoses, and those are located here. So a little different configuration down here. We've got 2 storage bins here, and then we have a storage closet here as well. So a different configuration as far as just all storage bins down here. So again, it shows the different capabilities we have for that. This is going to be where your diesel fuel fill is, and also DEF, and it's locking right here. Again, there's locking door on the other side for fuel only, but we can do both DEF and fuel here. So you're not crawling underneath a slide or using jugs or what have you. It's all done right here. We have 200-gallon capacity on fuel, which I believe is probably the largest that there is in the industry, so you can go quite a long way. I mean, you got 1,100 miles basically, the way I look at it. When I tow my stacker trailer and I'm running down the road loaded, I can do easy 1,000 miles. So, you've got quite a bit of range. Generator, again, we spoke a little bit about this before. It's the 12.5 kW Onan unit. Onan has their own hush box system. We build our own hush box around it as well. It's going to be the quietest and most vibration free that's going to be in the industry. We also have a ladder. That's a little giant ladder that can get you all the way to the top of the coach. Every coach that we've built for a long time has had a ladder. This then is the second bay driver's side. This is where our electrical architecture is. So the breaker systems here for the different Moritz Octoplex panels or boxes. We use the Moritz Octoplex system for our electrical architecture. So when you go in the coach, there's going to be a flat panel display. You can touch the breakers that are there. If you've got a problem, it'll say that there's a breaker tripped. You can go right there and reset the breaker. Each one of those individual distribution boxes has its own DC breaker for that purpose, and that's down here. And then also on the forward wall, the second bay is going to be all the 110 volt and 220 equipment, their circuit breakers, which are remote controlled as well. And then we wrote the programming for that system to communicate with Crestron back in 2006 as well. So we're 20 years into that system. So we have the ability to control that wirelessly as well. We also have the transfer box here, the silver stainless steel box polished. That's where all of the contactors are located, from generator power, shore power, inverter power. That's something that we build in-house as well. And then you have the generator starting battery. We have the VoltaGen system. The flat panel for that display is here, which tells us the state of charge on the lithium-ion packs from VoltaGen. And then that also gives us the ability to shut the coach down, which is different than anybody else that's out there. So if you wanted to store the coach and you had no power available to you for shore power for keeping the batteries charged, you could just simply press one button and turn the coach off. You can come back 4 months later, however long you want, and you can turn the coach back on again without it being plugged in. It gives everything a very clean reboot by doing that, so all the systems come up very cleanly as opposed to bouncing on and off and on and off when you're trying to charge them from a dead state.
Yeah, I don't know if we've seen this yet before. Almost like that same color as we saw on the awnings for the lawn chair, it looks like.
Exactly. Yep.
Wow, totally
Matching.
Custom. It almost looks like a denim or Tiffany blue, really cool design. I think we'll probably see this in some future builds.
Very possible.
Yes,
so
sir.
you have 4 of those chairs then. There's one mounted on each of the doors on the driver and passenger side, the first 2 bays.
And then they really don't take up any space with this little compartment there.
Then the first bay on the driver's side, again, we've got the DI system for the pressure washer. So we have the ability to bypass that as well if we wanted to take those tanks out. The rollout system here also. And we also have our setup for the dash stereo with their amplification also. This bay then has to be heated for this system to be here. So we have not only electric heat, but we have heat off of the S-bar system. So this coach we talked about being in cold climate. We have an 83,000 BTU S-bar diesel-fired furnace on board. That heats the antifreeze from the main engine. It circulates that through the entire coach. So we have extreme cold climate capabilities here. I've said it before, we were at 60 below zero many years ago. We can do that. because the entire coach then is heated to whatever temperature you want, and the main engine then is maintained at 160 degrees as well. So that continually circulates there all the time. It's different than an aqua hot system because the aqua hot is going to have small pumps, circulation pumps in there that are going to come on and off as the thermostat needs it. This system doesn't care what the thermostat inside the coach says. Its only purpose in life is to keep the antifreeze temperature of the engine at a certain point. And then we have the thermostats turn the blowers on and off that are inside or in the bays to be able to maintain temperature.
Much more industrial style system than a hydronic heating system.
Question. So the 9660 changed in the front of the coach. So you've got Prevost service door that's here. We used to just have the smaller door below the driver's seat area. So now we've got this large service area here. We've got the washer fluid. You've got air chock for air supply from the main engine or from our onboard air compressor. Onboard air compressor is going to get you between 60 to 90 psi. Of course, you're going to have upwards to 130 on the main engine side. Can you fill up a tire? Not really. You don't have a lot of volume. So that's why, it's not really there for keeping the tires on the bus or on the chassis maintained. You could on a car or a bike or something like that, or use it to blow something off if you wanted to. But that is mainly there as an auxiliary side. Our auxiliary system takes care of maintaining the slide gasket, the slide seals, and also running the air-operated doors and the air-operated valves for dumping and what have you. This also then is the forward Prevost electrical system is here. The front of the coach on the 9660 changed significantly, and so did the back. It has the shrouding on the back, and then also my brother Kurt did all the engineering and design for the cap on the front of the coach and also on the back. There's not another manufacturer you're going to see out there in the Prevost world that has these awning interface caps front and rear that are so integral to the chassis of the coach. That's something that Kurt spent a lot of time on, is to make sure that they were perfect. They don't look like they were just bought off a shelf, stuck on the roof, and then screwed in place and then siliconed around. It's completely different. The back one looks like it is part of the rear cap with the exhaust chimney built into it, and then the front the same, and then this design work that's up here was designed by him as well. So the whole coach slopes forward. It was to be able to bring in better fuel economy, so we had to enhance that as well. The taller windshields on the 9660, larger windshield wipers. We have the front that opens up here that allows you to get to the wiper synchronous motors and also to be able to get to the filtration system for the dash heating and air conditioning. This front setup here with the Liberty Coach logo built in, that is also something that was designed by Kurt. The inset section, the front bumper goes down here. We have storage behind the front bumper, and the bumper now is in 3 sections, although it all comes down as one unit. It is in 3 sections, so if you do damage it, you only have to repair 1 section as opposed to the whole bumper cover. We have the outside mirrors that are standard from Prevost here, and then of course we spoke about the E-mirrors, so the E-mirrors that are on either side as well.
Yeah, the body lines are incredible with the front and rear caps, but I've really got to compliment Dean Loucks, world-renowned artist. There's so many little things he does with the paint to really tie it together. Like even, on the front end here, it almost creates like a floating look for this part. There's all these little details that Dean does that when you see it from 20, 30 feet away or a foot away, there's so many little details that you're going to keep catching. And the paint design even comes through the front windows. When you look at the lines of a Liberty next to other coaches out there, they're in a league of their own. But you think we could take a look at the
Absolutely.
interior? As soon as you open that door, it's just an overload. What's all going on in the entryway here?
Well, there's a number of textures that are going on in here that were specifically picked out. This texture that's here, which is printed onto the leather, that's also on the rest of the dash. You've got the different elements as far as how this whole cockpit arrangement came through. When we get inside, you'll see there's 19 different molds here that were built and designed by my brother Kurt to make this whole cockpit arrangement the way it is and how it all flows. From every stitch all the way along from the door boot, which you don't see door boots on other manufacturers because they're difficult to do. And so that's why they don't do them. So we have one here. We've had a door boot on our coaches since inception. The lighting that's back inside here, the door handle, done in a different material, so it's not going to soil or show any dirt through the time frame. Also, you've got the inset switch panel here, which has been a trademark of Liberty Coach for many, many years. You can turn the lights on and off right there, so you're not fumbling through a bunch of switches throughout trying to figure that out. Our entryway, this is the new floating stair arrangement here. So these pieces are all set onto the stairs. They're all backlit as well to give the floating appearance. And then that all stainless steel staircase there, that's all polished as well. So there's a significant amount that's happening here. The other part of it is if you take a tape measure and measure all the stairs going in, they're going to be very close to being the same. And that's important because you know as well as I do, all the coaches that you videoed, when you come in and out, you're kind of stumbling as you're going in and out of the coach because the stair height might be different, the depth might be different, or coming out, you could actually slide all the way out.
Yes, sir.
It's happened, and this is very important. We go through and make sure that those stairs are correct all the way.
And is there a measurement, the depth of each step there?
Trade secret.
Okay, yeah, sorry. What was the first coach that you did the floating staircase on?
915.
915,
Yeah.
so quite a few now.
Yeah, this will be 932.
Yes, sir. Well, can we take a look at the interior?
Absolutely. Here we are in the cockpit on 932. You can see this crocodile material that's on here on the leather, the way the steering wheel's done. Again, this whole cockpit was designed by my brother Kurt, and there's 19 different molds that had to be manufactured to be able to make this system come out the way that it has. Starting over here on this side here, this is actually the valid leveling system. We changed over to the valid on the 9660 because it's pretty much of a plug and play system as opposed to what we used to do years ago. We designed our own automatic leveling system back in 1986 and utilized that for many, many years until the 9660 chassis. Mainly because of the fact here when Valid had built the system to plug into the Prevost 9660, it worked with the new valving that Prevost did. So on the 9660s now we have 2 leveling valves on the front and 2 in the rear. Previously on the Classics we had 1 leveling valve on the front and 2 in the rear. So you've got more flexibility now as far as on the leveling of the chassis. From there, you have this device here that your cell phone will clamp into. That way you can go ahead and CarPlay over here to the Pioneer stereo system. So you can bring your mapping up there if you want to do it that way. You're streaming your music, however you want to do it. This is really great. You can see it right here. It's easy to get to. The switches for the cockpit area are going to be here on the left side. Again, very easy to get to. We added some additional switching here for the blackout shades and a couple other pieces of equipment that we have electrically driven. The iPad here for the cockpit is a 12-inch Pro unit, and that has the ability to control every aspect of the coach as well as its own separate driving page, which the other iPads do not have. So we have the camera displays here. We have the 360 bird's eye view camera system that Liberty Coach was the first to install in 2016, and that was the first one that was done on a vehicle over 26 feet long. On the driver's side, actually, you can check out and monitor going up to the fuel island where your fuel fill is. So some have asked, hey, can you put a camera over that? We could, but we also have the ability to do that now anyway on the bird's eye view camera. The rear camera has the pan and tilt system as far as that view. We also have a camera for the hitch itself. We also have certain buttons here that you would utilize more so as you're driving, like closing the stairwell cover, locking the bay doors, going to the 360 camera system. So you can see here we have one camera pointed to the rear now, and then you've got the camera for the bird's eye view to look around the entire coach, and the rest of the coach operations here that you can do also. We have the e-mirror displays here, so your e-mirrors are looking at straight out the window. You don't really have to look over at all. You can look straight out here and you can see what's going on the side of the coach. There's 2 different views that are on there, one that is straight back and one that's more of a convex style for close-up view. It also has lines that delineate the placement that you are so that you can go ahead and move over the lane or make the turn without crossing over the curb or hitting a vehicle on the way over. We have a center pillar monitor here. This particular client wanted to do a separate camera display, so we can display his trailer camera. On the 9660, we now have the air delivery here for the dash air conditioning system as well as down below, whereas the Classic was only down here. And then we have enhanced airflow for the passenger as well with a supply that pushes right at them. So this whole system here turned out really cool at the end of the day. I think we even have some storage down here for candy, for driving on the road. And then we have the displays for the blind spot detection system over on this side. We also have stuff that we do that's kind of unique. So in here, it's very hard to tell, but we've always done this, which is the speaker for the CB radio. Yeah, we still do CB radios in the coaches, and this is the speaker for it. And we've always built it in right here and upholstered it in place so you don't see it. Now above here was a separate speaker that the client wanted for Bluetooth. So that has to do with the phone system as far as that goes, as opposed to it coming out through the stereo. So we have a separate speaker built in there. And if I wouldn't have said anything about it, you would have never noticed it. Push to start system here. So we have a key fob like the cars do today and a push button start. So we're up to date now as far as the automobile industry also.
Yeah, and I see some embroidery here, some custom embroidery, the drifter, and then I don't know if this is like a gator skin or...
Yeah. I think it's pretty much like a gator skin or crocodile skin. Same thing that we've got on the main sections of the dash here also. Again, these panels that are on here are ones that we manufacture now in-house to be able to control the quality of it. So the design side here, before you were seeing the diamond, now because of this type of material, the design is different. So, and also still perforated.
Well, this is a totally different feel. I love the cowboy silhouette back there and the wood block table. What all is going on?
So the client supplied some pieces like I spoke of earlier. So the design work back here they provided, and then we modified to be able to fit into the space and then backlighted it also. The tabletop they supplied, and then we were able to make it work with our design as well. So a few things were brought in by them and really enhanced to give it their touch, you know, at the end of the day. That worked out really well. The floor plan here is the triple slide, super suite in the back, bath and a half unit. And again, you know, we've had some comments, people saying things kind of look a little bit cookie cutter. Well, again, you know, we have coaches that we sell out a year plus in advance, and the people are picking what they like to do as far as that goes. So we're building what they want at the end of the day. So some of the stuff has that feel because of the design or because of the layout, because this layout has really taken off in a big way, better than I think we thought it was going to, with the extended galley and the single chair in the living room, with the cabinet here, which can second as a workstation also. You can put printer down below. You've got outlets. The chair has a recliner, electric recliner, and then that allows you to have a longer galley. And we've spoken about that. We can still do the two chairs in the front if people would like. We just kind of went further away from that because that forward chair was really not being utilized other than a catch-all, and people were swapping the chairs back and forth to make them look like they were used the same. So, but again, we can do that. It depends again on your mission. You know, if you have a situation where you need to be entertaining more in the front of the coach and you need that option, that's not a problem. We can handle it.
Well, I know not everything Liberty does is cookie cutter. I mean, we saw the world famous NASCAR driver Kyle Busch's Liberty coach that has a Murphy bed in it. I mean, is that something, if someone came in today and would like to order a Liberty coach with a Murphy bed?
It can be done. It's not a problem. We've done it.
What about bunks?
Bunks are a situation that we have. We've got floor plans on bunks. Bunks are going to work out better in a double slide coach. And again, you know, there's ways to make the bunks work, and then you have to look at what the storage situation is. Do you want to have a bath and a half? Can you get along with just a center bath? You know, that's something that you have to play around in the floor plan to decide what you really want to do. It's difficult just to turn around and build a spec unit with bunks because all of a sudden everybody's, okay, well, we want a bath and a half. Okay, well, it's hard to do that. You know, there's only so much room in the coach, and there's only so long. So you really need to look at how the floor plan works for you to see what's going to make it best. Again, we've done bunks before where the upper bunk was a half closet, you know, and then transition to a bunk if you wanted to, and then you had a single bunk below. It kind of all depends. It's like when we built that Kyle Busch coach, it had one bunk in it, in the back, and that was for Brexton when he was really little. When they had the second baby come, then we added a second bunk. That's something that we have the ability to do and have done.
But in a bunk floor plan, it would probably be hard to do a bath and a half.
Yeah, because you have to look at what are you going to utilize on storage, okay? So for an example, for the most part, your bunks are going to be in the center of the coach. Okay, so you're going to have a bath here and then a bath back in the back. Would you rather do a bathroom in the back with the shower, or maybe you have closet back there because your bunks have eaten up all your closet space, okay? So, you know, everybody still wants a washer and dryer. That takes up space. So, you know, it all depends on the plus and minus factors here. And again, when you do a super slide like this is, you don't have any hallway space here to do any bunks, right? There's no bunk going in here. It's a challenge, again, and it depends on what and how you're using the coach.
Well, and you've been building these longer than anyone else in the industry, so I'm sure you've have a lot of experience knowing what works and what doesn't work.
Can do. You bet.
Yes, sir. Now the sofa up here, this does, talking about bunks, a lot of your owners, if they have, kids or grandkids, they probably utilize the sofa for sleeping.
Sure, so this will come down electrically to a bed. The other option is we have done convertible sofas where it works out well. On a quad, it works out even better because this goes out further, but this then can roll out to be a convertible with an air mattress. So that's an option there as well. So if that was going to happen, I think it can work on this the way that this layout or this galley base is done. On some of the other ones, we have to change the galley.
Can we put this down real quick just to show the folks? And the big advantage that I see of this configuration is even if this is in the full sleeping position and your kids are still sleeping and you want to sneak out, can you walk around the bed when it's down?
You can slide right through here.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Really livable, not only when the slide's out, but when the slide rooms are in as well. And when you put that down too, there is even a pattern, that leather wall behind the couch that you never see unless the couch is down, had like a cool stitching pattern to it there.
Exactly. You don't chintz on anything here.
No, sir.
It's all going to be the same all the way you look. L-shaped booth here. We've seen more and more of that. This table goes in and out electrically. It also swivels. We build that entire system ourselves in-house, as well as the entire piece of furniture that the cushion's set on.
What a cool shape of a table. I've never seen a table that has that dramatic of a curve, but really gives it a cool feel.
Well, it's a live wood. It's not something that was cut. So
Yes,
it's
sir.
a live piece that was finished. Overhead cabinet storage in here, lights in all of them. This is all soft close as well. And then soft close doors and drawers over on the galley side. Everything's lighted inside. Dovetail drawer boxes, nice hardware in here as well. Lots of drawer storage in here. And then we have cutlery done here. And then we have the trash drawer also. We have the inductive Wolf cooktop. And then this entire system here looks like one piece, the way that the backsplash is done, same as the countertop, and then the drip edge that's done here as well. The drip edge is exclusive to Liberty Coach. We started doing this in the 80s when we bought the machinery to make it happen. So the router that we have is a 5x10 router. This countertop comes on and off of that multiple times to be able to make the shape that it's in. And then at the end here we have the waterfall, which is a full panel that is mitered in place. It is not just some piece that's just slapped on the end here. It's a difference. It costs more money to do it that way. So, solid. Paper towel holder up in here. This is something that's been integral to Liberty Coach for many, many years, is the paper towel holder that's hidden up inside so that you don't have clutter all over the top of the countertop. We have the pantry system here, roll-out boxes. We have the 220 Mealy microwave convection oven unit. This is a full oven. It's not just a microwave, it is a full oven, 220 volt. We've got a storage drawer below that as well. You can run the oven going down the road on the inverter system. Okay, we didn't touch on it outside, but there are 3 5,000 watt inverters on this coach. 2 of them are piggybacked together so that you can run 220 volt equipment going down the road without the generator. So the microwave can be used, and so can the washer and dryer, which is something that a lot of people can't, or a lot of other companies can't state. So again, all of this can be done because of the amount of alternator that we have on the back of the coach as well, running off the engine. This is a Keurig coffee maker unit here that's plumbed in from the back, so you don't ever have to add water to it, and it also has the filtration from down below as well, so you're filtered on that also. 3 form panels here for the Jack and Jill doors for the mid bathroom. Really kind of cool because in the evening the light transfers or translucent through there, so it's really a nice effect. And then the bathroom area here. Refrigerator is going to be the Fisher Paykel unit, which is the dual door with the freezer unit below. And then we have the ice maker built in here as well. Washer dryer unit is here. And again, we've touched on this before, these door stiffeners that we build, that we make in-house, we bend that material up and we paint it to match the area that it's in. And that keeps the door straight over a period of time, so the door doesn't want to creep or bow or warp or anything like that. Now the material that we use as far as a substrate on here, a lot of them are done with the foam core. We touched on that on 931. and that material is extremely stable as well. Now these corner moldings here, these are all solid wood. We make those in-house and paint them. It's like this door frame and the frame around the door, that's all done in-house. That's all machined, it's all sanded, and then it has to be all painted and buffed to its perfect feel.
Yes, sir. And this is almost a newer color. You know, we see different cream colors but there's, you know, stuff is close, but I think this is a little different hue or different color than we've seen.
It's more of that grayish or snow white or something like that has that grayish tint to it.
I like the snow white. The exterior color almost had a snow white vibe to it, but yeah, really different, you know, slight little touches, but gives it a really nice feel.
Looking into the bathroom from this side here, you can see the upholstered wall that's back in there. All that we have to do and make per unit.
Even the door handles here.
Knurled.
What's that called?
Knurled.
Knurled, yeah. Mm-hmm. You feel the quality when you open and then, I mean, that door, what other motorhome door can you close and just feel the quality?
Exactly. Closet here, this being the super suite, so we've got closet on either side, fore and aft of the passenger side bedroom slide, mirror on each side as well, and again the door stiffeners that we spoke about, we make those and paint them per the area that they're going to be in. This has the batten arrangement back here on the rear dresser as well as on the walls in the back that are backlighted, and then the horsehair feel dimensional panels that are here as well. We spoke a little bit earlier about the speaker systems. This bedroom system has its own engineered speaker system for it. That's all done up in here. You can't see it. It is not a speaker bar or sound bar. There are 3 separate speakers here as well as speakers in the back, and then the subwoofer that's under the bed. All of that has to be engineered per coach. So when the coach is completed, there's a device that sits here in the bedroom. The sound system goes and does its thing to be able to get the right acoustic levels for this room. Another one is done up in the front of the coach to make sure that it is set up properly. So each coach has to have that time put into it, which is hours to do that once the coach is completed. And I mean fully decored, because this throw blanket here could make a difference to how the sound is in the coach. So every coach is done that way.
Yeah, and there's so many little details that I'm taking in every time we're in these coaches. Now, these floors have a totally different feel than any other Liberty I've been in.
Exactly. Good eye, because the other ones that we've done have been more of that planked laid floor as opposed to being the square pieces here. And again, let's hammer home the flooring. Flooring is big to Liberty Coach. This is a fully heated floor. So this matting system that's in here covers 100% of this floor. Now, with that said, we've spoken about other coaches that you go in where the floor feels spongy when you walk in it, and it's noisy, and it creaks, or whatever it does. That's because the floor, as you get it from Prevost, is meant to have seats bolted to it and not to be able to be finished. But some people think so, so that's what they do. We do not. We have to fully sand and prep that floor as it comes in, and then we do a subfloor on top of it, and then a floor that's machined for all of the matting that's done for the heated mats, and then another subfloor is put on top of that and completely screwed down, and then that has to be filled and sanded so that you don't have any of those screws or anything that could telegraph through the final floor over a period of time. Because after about a year or so of walking through here, if there's anything that's underneath this floor, it's going to show right through it. This also then is a very lightweight floor by doing it that way also. So this is something that we looked at very hard as well.
Yeah, and if folks want to test a Liberty against other motorhomes, is it okay if I jump up and down a little bit? I mean, if you just, wow, I mean, it's incredible. But I actually had a consult call with a gentleman with a product over $1 million that he said there was a 3/4 of an in the rear bathroom area. The floor dropped 3/4 of an inch just in a little 4-foot by 5-foot area. And that's product that he paid over $1 million for. So I definitely, before you go write a 7-figure check for a coach, just jump up and down,
Okay, so there's something that I say about driving a coach and driving all of the different coaches that are out there. I will guarantee you that there is not another coach that you will drive other than a Liberty coach that is as quiet as a Liberty coach. Part of it is the floor, okay? Because when the flooring is done that way, you don't have the noises that you have from the drivetrain, from the road, from the tires. All of that stuff is virtually eliminated. Also, the way that our cabinetry is done and the insulation in the ceiling aids into that also. Now, the window glass that Prevost does is pretty spectacular. They're a double pane thermal window with a gas in between there. That is also for thermal properties as well as sound properties. So all of that taken into consideration. But the flooring is number one. And you will notice it, I'm telling you, before you get off this lot. I can bring every other Prevost manufacturer here, and you drive them all, blindfold yourself, you'll notice it right away, without a doubt.
Yes, sir. And you still do the warranty, no squeaks or rattles to the original owner for the lifetime of the coach?
That's correct. That's correct. And it's amazing being in Nashville this last couple of days, people remember that. Talking to some of the entertainers that are there, they remember Charlie Daniels' coach, 2.3 million miles on it, and we still did that. Okay, so
it's incredible. Those tour buses are not built to the same level as a Liberty, and you even had I don't know if I'm allowed to name drop, but we were in here, we saw Travis Tritt here taking delivery of his new Liberty. I mean, talk about someone that's running tour buses, and some of the A-listers choose a Liberty over the tour buses.
Well, an example with Travis Tritt. Travis Tritt has been exclusively with Liberty Coach for all of his coaches since his career started. So we're talking over 30 years that we have been aligned together in a partnership. So that's really unheard of in the industry. So Travis has had, I believe, 5 Liberty coaches through that time, 3 of which were custom units to him. The first one was a Silver Eagle, and then after that it was a single slide XL2. And then he had 2 used coaches in between, and then now he has the 9660, the 24 model.
Yeah, very cool. Really a testament for Liberty.
Thank you. Again, the materials and stuff that's back here, design elements are cool. The way the bedspread is done, this material that's on the bedspread's got a really cool print to it and really nice feel to it as well. We have closets on either side of the bed back here. We have the Dyson stick vacuum system that we install in here as well. And then these super deep drawers that are here. So this is my drawer here. This is all my, when I travel with my wife, this is what I get. So
she gets the rest. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm always overloaded with all the little details, but this closet door design seems a little bit different than the past coaches.
It is.
Or
this has got the chevron design to it, and then this end cap or end section, if you want to call it that. You know, we have done the battens, as you know. We were the first ones to do the batten design on 915, and then that also was done down in these closet doors as well. So it was just a design element change here to make something different, to be able to have the door on either side look the same, so that both sections are the same here on either side. So, you know, we're always trying to change it up.
Little
Keep everybody
subtle
on their toes. You know?
Yes, sir. Little subtle stuff that we may not always catch, but always improving.
Exactly. iPads on both sides of the bed here. That was an option that they wanted to do. It's up to clients. Sometimes they just like to have the Crestron panel here, and then additional switching that was done, or different switching that was done as far as the different programs. So all kinds of different things can be done there. This aft bath, again, lots of lighting that we do in here. We have the battens on the door here, and then lots of storage throughout this area here. The shower is immense, as all of our showers are. So we have big shower in here, very self-contained as far as that goes. Again, we talk about the fact that we have a stainless steel pan that we weld up in-house. The pan goes down, it's mudded tile. We have rock wall that goes in here. So we talk about weight all the time. This is something that we don't take any chances with as far as making sure water does not come out of this ever. So the weight of the rock wall, the materials that are used here, is a staple, and we do it that way. We'll take the weight out somewhere else, but not back in here.
And it's amazing when we go into Liberty's 20, 30 years old, we never smell that a lot of coaches over time eventually, that I don't know how it happens, but leaks can happen in showers of motorhomes.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely it can. There's a lot of movement going on here. You know, as much as we try and make everything stable, as any of our competitors do as well, there's a lot of movement, and you got to be cognizant of that when you're building, without a doubt. And you know, the ones that are newer in it, they'll figure it out if they're around that long. You know what I mean? So it depends. We'll see.
You've 55 years in the business. I can imagine all the little lessons, probably some expensive lessons over those years as well.
And you know, I think I can probably say with pretty high confidence that no other company will be in this business as long as Liberty Coach. I have pretty high confidence there. With our children that are involved, the generations that we have, my and my brother's commitment to this, I have no plan to retire anytime soon. So I think we'll see other ones change and go before anything happens with Liberty Coach.
Well, you're probably 10, 20 years longer in business than any other Prevost converter? Or
The next one to us is going to be Marathon.
and it's 20 years?
And they were started basically in 79, 80 as Magic Carpet.
Yeah.
And then after that, Marathon took over a few years down the road. So
You had a decade at least. So,
at least.
Yes, sir. Yes,
At
sir.
least. We have the electrical closet that's here for componentry with the digital switching, the Crestron system. The client wanted an area here to be able to store all the remote controls instead of being in a box and forgetting about. And if they wanted to grab a hold of them, they could back here. Same here, the Starlink systems and routers and the cellular internet devices, they're built in back here as well. We have the recessed rear vanity treatment that we started on 915. That's really gone over well, and I think it gives another design element.
Frank, it's always an honor to see the latest and greatest here. We really appreciate this opportunity. Now, outside you mentioned the newest pre-owned inventory is going to be about 21 and a 22.
Actually, we have a 23. That's Coach 900. That was the last of the classics that was built. So that coach is here as well. That's a triple super slide unit. That's on the website. We have the 22 quad as well. We have a 21 double slide that we just got in, which is a really, really nice coach. That coach has got miles, I think, like either in the upper 30s or low 40s. Great coach, single owner unit, so it's a good unit.
Bus air?
Oh yeah, over the boat bus air, double slide coach with bus air. Really desirable piece. A beautiful look on the outside too, so it's a great coach. And then that's pretty well the newest. And then we go down, we sold the 19 we have a 17, and then we go down from there as far as year model. You're going then into the motorhome exchange.
And then as far as custom ordering or building a new coach, do you have any spec coaches coming through that are going to be available? Or if someone wants a brand new Liberty, what's the next available coach?
We're building a coach for ourselves, which will be Coach 935. That coach will come off probably in August. So we're going to keep that coach for about 6 months to get us through the show season. And then we do have a few units that are out there that are going to be available for spring of 27 year model and 2027 calendar year delivery. So you'd be looking at probably March, April next year as far as that goes.
Okay, and I know I talked to the owner of 933 that's going to be coming off soon. He's really excited about that. He said he's owned like coaches for 20 years and he's had all of them. I think this is his 5th Liberty, he told me. And he's really excited about that. He was picking my brain to see but he didn't really tell me who he was when I started talking to him, and really cool to meet loyal Liberty owners like that.
And he's had other manufacturers of coaches, and he's the first one to tell you that there is going to be $300,000 to $400,000+ difference between a Liberty coach and everybody else, which it should be. I have no angst to say that one way or another. It's the truth. When you start adding up all of the things that Liberty Coach does over and above what anybody else does, it's real easy, and it really should be more at the end of the day. It really should be more. But when we look at that, and he understands that because he's owned them, and he understands the difference of why there's that much money in between. And this is his first custom unit. After all the units that he's had, this is his first custom one with Liberty Coach. And I was there for the pick out for it, and he was just, amazed.
And Dean told me that he's like, we're doing a coach, the paint job.
The paint on that is incredible.
He spent $275,000 on that paint job with Dean with all the stuff on it. So we thought 150, but Dean's got. I'm looking forward to seeing what tricks Dean pulled out on that one.
Nothing to say anything against all the other coaches that are out there, or even on this coach here. It's just different design elements that are in the coach, in the paint, in the color, and the special stuff that's here and there. And that's why I don't get involved in paint. I don't know paint. And I admit it, I don't know paint. I know what it looks like, and I know a good paint job. At the end of the day, we know interiors and how to sell and service it. That's why when people get involved and want to ask me questions about, okay, fine, now what do we do with Dean? Here's Dean's phone number. You're Dean's client now on that part.
Well, and it's man hours, because other companies out there have tried to do what Dean does, and then I think when they see the amount of man hours, it's like, how are you physically able to put that many man hours into a paint job? You almost have to not be counting hours to get to that level to be even able to do that stuff. Because if you're just doing it, counting hours and trying to do the math at being profitable. You got to just be passionate about it and throw the hours away with something like this.
But Dean has to be able to look at the hour aspect too, because we have to have these coaches coming out of his system regularly so that we can maintain a production level build time that we need to do as well. So we need to keep that, every 3 weeks to a month rolling, and him being like every 5 weeks or sometimes 6 to be able to do that, or get him backlogged enough to be able to make sure that our production is running smoothly as well. So, because us to lose a coach out of a year of production is huge. It's a big number.
Well, to do this level of quality this quickly, and I think that's where other manufacturers, when they see, oh wait, we have to put 2,000-3,000 man hours into a paint job, well now that shell has to sit for it could throw the whole thing off. So this is a well-oiled machine, what you guys have been doing here.
Well, when you look at how we used to do the paint jobs with Prevost, and we would get the coach painted already from them. So now all of a sudden we're going to make a transition to Dean, where we would get the coach primered and then send it to Dean, and then it would come back. So we would lose now the coach out of our shop for almost 5 weeks, right? So all that whole model had to change, and that year that was done was a huge hiccup in production to be able to get that system running like it needed to be. So it was a big challenge. It's a big change.
I can imagine. How many man hours go into a Liberty coach build on the interior?
You can look at 10,000. Now, that's a number. Say, well, he just threw a number out there. Well, I know what the number is because I can see the production movement. I can see those numbers when I want to. And when you look at how many hours there are in an interior, we don't do the slide rooms, right? We don't put the slide room in the coach. That comes to us from Prevost. We don't do the paint. That comes from Dean. So this all has to do with just the basement sections of the coach, the whole interior of the coach, the exterior components that we do, the cap, front and rear, the front nose cap, all of that stuff that we do, you can average pretty well 10,000 man hours. And everybody you can look at, anybody that's in business can throw $100 an hour at it just as a basis point. And you can pretty well figure quickly what we have just in labor and not what we have even in the componentry at the end of the day. $90-some thousand with Voltagen. How much do you have in Crestron equipment? Tens of thousands of dollars at the end of the day. You can start adding this stuff up rather quickly just on component alone and come up to your $400,000 and $500,000 situation. Paint, let's throw that one on top of that at the end of the day. So yeah, there's big numbers that are put into that. And I know that where we are, and I've said it many times recently, that it really is staggering to me of what the Liberty Coach price point is compared to what the other ones are that are out there that don't even have anything close.
Well, and the shell alone, you're starting, I think the
800.
shell, I've seen, you're paying $800,000. Now, you just bought the shell, and on that 800, any business people know out there, juice alone on a shell and call it 8% interest, you're almost another, $70,000, $80,000 in interest on top of that 800 before you've even.
All right, so let's look at it this way. So let's take something else out of it into the mix. Let's take the whole Prevost world out, because we know in the Prevost world and all of our competitors, we have to start with this box. And this box costs me the same as it does any of the other ones that are out there. We all have to pay the same amount of money. Nobody gets a discount. We all pay the same amount of money. Even though we've been doing it longer than anybody, we all pay the same amount of money, right? Now you look at a single shop, single deal, okay? You look at the Class A world, or you look at Newell as far as that goes, and they build all that together in one place. How much money are they saving by doing all that in one location, and they build the whole thing together, and their price point is close to us? And we got $800,000 that we have to deal with before we can even start. I can do that math pretty quickly, and that leads into some of the comments that we get, which I love reading the comments. Okay, fine, how come you don't do this, or how come you don't do that, or how, do you do a center door? Yeah, we can do a center door. Prevost will build us a center door chassis. You've seen marathons. Marathons had them at the racetracks. The corporate people have them. We can do a center door. You do a center door, you lose 3 feet out of this part of the coach. Gone. You're not gaining it up there, okay? You still got a passenger seat up there. You're not gaining anything. So you lost 3 feet here out of the floor plan, plus what you lost in the bay, okay? It is what it is. You can do it. But again, when you look at the fact of having a manufacturer build a chassis for you and takes all of that liability away from you. Why would we do it any differently than that? I don't want to build a chassis. I don't want to have that headache of building that chassis part of it. Prevost is the best at building the chassis. Number one, safest, quietest, efficient. They have the resources behind them to take care of any of the warranty situations that go, slide rooms, any of that stuff, you know, they have that ability. Millions of miles of history behind them. We are interior manufacturers. And when you look at, for an example, again, with Prevost on building the chassis and all the experience they have in the miles, I mean, they build 1,000 chassis a year, okay? We build 12 units a year. I don't want to have to be burdened with building 12 chassis and then have to do the interior part of it. You know, we can get some modifications done. We do get locked into where slide rooms are and where they're positioned. There's a reason for that. We don't have to worry about the fact that, hey, listen, we're going to move this slide room back another 6 inches, or we're going to extend this 6 inches, and all of a sudden 2 years from now, oops, we got a situation here where the chassis fractured because there was, you know, we didn't think about that, or somebody didn't think about that. And that's happened, you know. There's manufacturers that are out there that, you know, I've seen how their chassis come together. I see how they're welded. And by the way, at the end of the day, they may be 46 feet long instead of 45 or 45 and a half. You know what I mean? So this is built very precise. There's not another manufacturer out there that builds its chassis as precise as Prevost. And they do it every day, okay? So let's let them build the chassis. We're an interior conversion company. Everything that has to do with the rest of it, we're experts at. We got a lot of years behind us. We're experts at it. We're the best. That's what we do.
Yes, sir. Then Dean's the expert at the paint, so a lot of different experts all come together to make this happen.
Absolutely.
So, well, Frank, really appreciate your time today. If someone's a serious and qualified buyer out there and they want to purchase a Liberty Coach, what's the best steps for them to take?
Best step is to go on the website, libertycoach.com. You can call in 800-554-9877. Email in coachsales@libertycoach.com. You know, jump on one of the coaches that you see, even if it's a new sold coach and you're interested in building a coach, you know, tap on that, fill out the form. I'll get it. We'll get it distributed out. I take phone calls as well. I had one yesterday just before I got on a plane to see about doing a custom unit and what our capabilities are, you know, what they can do. So, you know, there's that aspect. You know, if you've got a service situation, service office at libertycoach.com is the best way. If you have parts, we now have the parts email, parts@libertycoach.com. The Motorhome Exchange, you can go to their website, themotorhomeexchange.com, and all the equipment that we have that's pre-2016 included now is on that website. So we've got all that inventory there. Dave Wall handles that. You can call into him.
Frank, really appreciate the opportunity, sir.
Appreciate it. Good to see you.
Likewise. Also appreciate all of you guys liking, sharing, and following. We hope you're all having a great day. Thanks again.
You.